Swag out there and boss. Look, is that bow tie pasty?
And welcome to another edition of the Sartorian Geek Podcast by Webster Style, where we talk about bow ties, comic books, and everything between. I'm your host, Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance. Let's jump right into the download. It is mid-March, and mid-March, early April signifies one thing to me, that excitement, the fervor of opening day. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Baseball season is upon us, and that means it's time for another edition of MLB The Show. Now, MLB The Show is a video game based, obviously, on Major League Baseball, developed by San Diego Studio and published by MLB Advanced Media and Sony Interactive Entertainment. For the first time in baseball video game history, the game includes career mode with female players dubbed Road to the Show. Women Pave the Way storylines. The Negro League storyline also returns this year in MLB The Show 2024, now including Buck Leonard, Josh Gibson, Hank Aaron, and Tony Stone at launch, with more to be added afterwards. That is one of the most attractive features of the game last year, in my opinion, was that the Negro League inclusion. But this year, and this is one of the things I really have enjoyed about MLB The Show, that honoring of baseball history, while it does offer new incentives than just the standard career mode, or you play your season mode. It adds something new, but it also honors the history and the legacy of the game within the United States. So that's my download for the week, MLB The Show 24. Speaking of honoring history, in this case, even a bit of nostalgia, as of the time of this recording, yesterday, the X-Men returned to the animated screen in the form of X-Men 97, which is a continuation of the classic, and I mean classic, X-Men animated series that ran from Fox Kids from, 94 to 99 or something to that effect. I forget the exact dates. But all I know is I went from a young man to a older young man during the course of this teenage man during the course of that series. And it was, for me, this series was like must see, because that is when I was really heavy into comics. And I think in many respects, that time period for the X-Men in late 90s, early 2000s, actually really early 90s, early 2000s, it was like peak X-Men in storytelling and character design. It was something. It was something. And the X-Men animated series, more than any other adaptation we've seen, had or did an excellent job of retelling some of those classic stories, as well as retelling stories that were current of that day. I mean, we got a classic, probably the best retelling or adaptation of the Dark Phoenix saga ever outside of the comics. They also did The Phalanx Covenant. They also did Days of Future Past. There were just so many spot-on adaptations, while changed for the series, that were just so well done. And they really, in my opinion, are still the series unto itself, but it's still some of the best representation of X-Men storytelling in a multimedia format till this day. And we're talking about 30 years later, almost, in many respects. Well, Marvel did something right, and they have decided to continue that series. So the new series, X-Men 97, picks up after the death of Charles Xavier in this world now, where we now have a sympathy for mutants due to his killing, his assassination by Gyrick. I have to say, these first two episodes were the storytelling. You forget how good that storytelling was back then, and also how the X-Men story in that world they live in is still so relevant to our current discourse. I mean, you talk about that hatred, that fear, that replacement. I mean, that's as much an allegory for racism of the 60s as with the creation of the X-Men by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby to the xenophobia of immigration today in our country and individuals that are quote unquote the majority or in power have that fear of being replaced by others. It's such a timeless story as far as human interaction, and it translates very well, i.e., the X-Men story. And these first two episodes really, really do a good job of just telling a great story and really encapsulating all of those ideas. It is, I don't even want to say the story and the storytelling is mainstream. It is timeless storytelling. It's timeless themes that I think humanity has always faced in different ways. We've always had the same sort of conversations, just in different ways or about different subjects, but it's still the same conversations. Even now, with our current political cycle, those same conversations are happening in different formats depending on which ideologies you lean to. And the X-Men, and X-Men 97 specifically, especially with these first two episodes, lean very heavily into the idea of the ideology of what's right, the ideology of being better, the ideology of accepting everyone, regardless of what has happened. And even more so, it's so grown. It's so I wouldn't say like it's not adult language, but the themes, the topics, it's something that translates to the adult me maybe more than the child me really understood back then with the themes because of how I am now, or at least what I've experienced and grown up in and matured as a man since my teenage years and middle school years before then. Well, I wasn't a teenager in middle school, but still. So it was such a good, not just good, it was an amazing 2 episode start to X-Men from the voice acting. One of the biggest things that I was worried about when I saw the previews was the animation style. I don't think anybody thought that it would look exactly like the series from the 90s, but the animation style, at least with some of the stills and whatnot, were very, for me, off-putting. But seeing it in action, there were some nuances where I'm like, okay, that's just kind of weird, but it was very fluid. There were just some. There was this one shot with Wolverine that was just so beautiful from a comic standpoint. But it was just written overall. It was written very well. It was they played around with some new things as far as how the team fights together, and you see that in the closing of the first episode. I was like, that was some holy shit moments as far as I'm concerned, because I was just like so surprised they did that. And then the second episode with Magneto, they did a classic retelling of the classic Trial of Magneto storyline, and the ending to that with no spoilers made me really mad. It made me really mad from a standpoint of what happened to a certain character, and yeah, I was mad. I was very mad. I feel like that happened in the comics back in the day to some degree, but I don't remember exactly. But if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. But all in all, X-Men 97 was beautiful. It was an amazing reintroduction to these characters, to that universe, and more importantly, from a storytelling perspective, you don't need to have seen or even be aware of the original series to understand what's going on in this series. They do a very good job of giving information as to what's happened in the past without you having to know it. Whether it be the opening. Oh, mind you, let me back up. Opening theme song is there. The opening. First of all, this is the one show where it says skip for the intro. Nobody's skipping the intro because you are letting that music play and you are watching the intro every single time, every single episode. But I digress. They have very good sort of not even montage, but scenes which shows you what happened in the past during conversation when characters are talking about it. So I think that you don't have, and I think you don't have to watch the original series to understand and appreciate this one. They give you enough information so you know what happened in the past without you having to go back and see it if you haven't done so. So I definitely highly recommend watching X-Men 97. I think so far this year for me, it is one of the best things I've watched. Between that and Halo Season 2, best thing I've watched this year so far. So that's my take so far on episodes 1 and 2 of X-Men 97. Speaking of men, in this case, a man, I had the pleasure of sitting down and talking to an industry legend in the adult field, someone who has been in the industry for 2 decades and who has paved his own way in every respect. Here's probably maybe the antithesis of, if you've ever seen his work, the antithesis of what you think he is. He was cool, calm, collected, mild-mannered. He was just a pleasure to talk to, and I loved just being able to speak to the human being that is Richard Mann. Let's check out this interview, and I'll be back. What's going on, everybody? It's Webster Style here, the man, the voice, the fragrance, and we're here for legend. We're here with the one and only Richard Mann. Richard, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine today, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Now, it's weird when I was contacted by interviewing, I'm like, oh, I know who he is. You have someone who's been in the industry for just about 2 decades, and one of the things I want to ask, especially there are a lot of things I want to ask you, but I understand to some respects how a lot of the ladies ended up in the industry. I've always wondered, so how does a gentleman like yourself end up in the adult industry?
Let me close this real quick. Well, right before the adult industry, I used to be in the lifestyle, so I went to a lot of lifestyle parties, and I got kind of known, throughout America and whatnot, and so it was kind of drifting over where some people who were in adult were kind of like, oh, well, I don't know how. But anyway, I was going to parties with this particular chick, and she said, I know someone who knows someone. Can I send them your pictures? Can I this? Can I that? I was like, sure. Go ahead. And just put it in the back of my mind, like, okay, whatever. And maybe 2 or 3 days later, I got a call. And it was just really that easy for me.
Okay. And almost 20 years later, here you are.
Years later, here I am. Thank goodness. Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed, being a man of a certain age, I've seen the industry from the 80s, 90s, 2000s. It's weird to say now the 2020s. And the industry, especially when you think of, say, 80s and 90s, was very synonymous with burnout, with individuals, both male and female, getting into the business and then maybe being there a couple years, then gone. One of the things I'm seeing now is that you have a lot of individuals like yourself who are now in, pushing 2 decades as being an active performer in the business. Do you have any idea in your case, what would you attribute that longevity to? And then on the second part of that, what do you think overall that longevity in the business is attributed to? It seems like more and more people are staying in, or lasting, I should say, longer and longer.
me being in 20 years and not doing anything else is pretty much at this point with me is like, what else am I going to do? I
Mhm.
can't go back to a 9 to 5, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and being in here for 20 years, it's like, it's, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, the longer we do it, the more that we don't want to go back to a 9 to 5 or this, that, or the other. And me, I don't know about many others. I'm able to make a real good living, a real good living, 6 figures these days. So yeah, I'm not I'm not going anywhere. It'll be 30 years. It'll be till I pass. Because with me, it's not just about in front of the camera. It's me being behind the camera too, being behind the actual camera, production, director, in the back office, editor. You know, this is bigger than just me being in front of the camera. It's about
Right.
being in business and leaving a legacy. That's pretty much where my head is at. Most cats in the industry that I know are not thinking like that. They're really happy for sex, and that's fine and dandy. But I thought we were all here for the money.
Right. You bring up directing. One of the things I want to ask, uh, I saw an interview with you a little while ago, and you talked about how when you first came in, you were under contract. I think it was like your first 2 years or so, you
Mhm.
were under contract. Did you have aspirations of production and directing then as well?
I've been having aspirations of directing and whatnot from day one. My first contract was with West Coast Productions and James Alexander. Before I had even done really 3 shoots, I was in his office talking with him about, hey, let me be behind that camera. I got my own cameraman. We can make all kind of magic and do this and do that. And he just looked at me like, dude, you ain't really even got any. How are you coming to me in the office saying this, that, and the other? But it's always been like that. Even before, yeah, it's always been like that. That's
Yep.
so I got to.
Understood. Now, do you think that, because one of the things I've also noticed is that you tend to break a lot of people in. Probably pun intended and pun not intended as well, into the industry. Do you think that your passion to be behind the scenes helps to really facilitate making newcomers comfortable on set?
No, I generally want just whoever's on set to be it in the front of the camera, behind the camera, to have a good time and just to be comfortable and not have to worry about anything and just to be themselves. I mean, as far as knowledge shared with them, I'm an open book. It's like ask me whatever you want, and I'll tell you the answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you I don't know. If I can point you in the right direction to get that answer, I'll do that. So I have no problem. I get criticized, from some people. Like, dude, you giving away the bank, you giving away to this and this, that, other. Like if I see other guys or other chicks or whoever as some sort of competition, and I'm like, there's enough room in here for everybody.
Right.
It really is. It's like $1 zillion industry. Someone can come up and do great. That's like I'm happy to see it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna be trying to tap to that person's shoulder and say, hey, why don't you come over here and do some work for me? You can have some of your magic rub off on me. It's a yeah. So I have no problem in sharing anything and everybody. I mean, we can all make money. We really
Very
can.
true.
We all can.
That is one of the things I've really enjoyed about the way the industry has shifted over the past couple of years. Um, Even in general, technology has fostered more collaboration across different fields. I even see that in my day job with what I do, but with the adult industry, you see, at least from the outside looking in, a lot more collaboration because of the sort of, as you put in one of your interviews, that DIY aspect of things now, and
Hmm.
how you're your own cameraman, your own director, you're your own marketer, And people are more apt to work together, much like you talked about, having somebody else's magic rub off on you. And I'd like, it seems like to me, there's that fosters so much more of a community in the industry than maybe what it was 20, 30 years ago.
I mean, yeah, because there's more people in it. There's more creators. I mean, back in the day, before the internet was there, before it really caught on with creators, it was just a few companies, doing their thing, and there was no room for them because no one else, because there wasn't a way to do it. There wasn't a platform to put out. No one had money to make a lot of DVDs, physical DVDs, and
Mhm.
try to shop them to the gazillion stores that there are in America and excuse me and the world. Now it's like you got the internet. The world is right there at your fingertips. It's like I mean, I wouldn't be in this game if it wasn't for the internet. I would not be in this game. I'd be doing tech somewhere. So I mean, it's a beautiful thing, but most people, they don't really take advantage of it and use it to their fullest extent as far as in what we do. There's a lot more to be done. This industry is really a hand to mouth type industry. People
Mhm.
think, hey, those porn stars over there, they're making a gazillion dollars, and it just isn't like that in any way, shape, or form. So, the stuff that I be telling other creators is it's stuff that I've used over the years to make money for me. Like, hey, put your stuff on every platform that you can sell it on, every single platform, no matter where it is. Just try to flood that particular platform with all your shit. It's a lot of work. Maybe
Mhm.
like I'm on like maybe 10 platforms these days. It's a lot of work editing, and you got to upload to everyone. You got to keep track of what you then uploaded to what platform, and it's a real pain in the ass. It's not hard. It's just tedious.
Right.
It's like, oh my god, and it takes up just so much time. It's like, wow, I sit here at this computer 8 to 10 hours a day, every day.
I believe it. I believe it. I always tell people, even with what I do, my schedule typically, I try to put up 3 videos a week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm on hiatus from the podcast for a minute, so it was like the 3 videos plus the podcast, which I turned into a video, and then I do 2 regular shows, which was what I talked about before we started. They got shifted to Friday with a friend of mine on his channel, but my stuff, I literally just the recording, the editing, while it's not 8 to 10
A lot of,
hours, and obviously I'm not on screen having sex
a lot of work,
either, and
and
it's
I got
just me. So
I do a lot of producing, a
right,
lot of directing, so I tend to have a lot of content. That's with me not in front of the camera. I got to
right.
edit all that or get it edited, and I'm not the most organized person in the world. So it's like, oh my god, it's like I get overwhelmed sometimes, but it's the job.
Yep,
It's part of the job.
yep,
Gotta be
yep,
poor, and I'm not. I'm kind of
yep.
allergic to it. So
Yeah, I feel
yeah,
you on that one.
I don't make
One of the things I saw in an interview with you that I really resonated because I love the answer. And you said you were a square, and I'm like, no, that means you're keep to yourself. You're into what you're into, and you talked about how you read a lot. Are you reading any books right now?
I haven't. To be honest with you, I haven't read a book in 4 or 5 years.
Mm,
I just I don't have the time to actually just
understood.
sit down. I mean, now it's like when I want to know something or learn something, I'll go to YouTube and I'll spend 4 or 5 hours looking at different videos to find out the answer to what I want to find out, and then I'm on my way. It's like I can't. I just don't. Like the type of stuff that I'm into as far as reading, it takes real concentration. It's not something. They're just like they're factual books.
Hmm.
Books on business, leverage buyouts, books on penetration testing, all types of the nerd shit. The square shit that
Right.
people that people talk about, and I got to concentrate, and I got to do it on the screen, and it's too much. I don't have the time.
Understood.
I wish
Understood. Now,
there's a lot of good
I,
books
I
out.
yes, they are, and I don't honestly. I don't read as much as I probably should. I
Yeah,
right now I'm trying to finish The Way of the Superior Man. I think I'm about halfway through. I kind of pick it up every now and again. Just an interesting book I got recommended by a friend of mine.
and that's a great thing, though that you do. That you can etch out that time. I'm starting to try to get into the audio books. It seems kind of odd to me, though. I'm like, because there was a time though when I had a book in my hand every waking moment, other than being at work for maybe like a decade. I always had a book. Always. You could never catch me without a book. Topics from A to Z. But nowadays, not so much.
Understood. I have a question. Are you into fragrances at all?
No, no. I I take a shower, clean up, put on some deodorant, we gone. My wife's like, I got this for you. I'm like, okay, I put some on, but I got it, but I just don't wear it.
Understood.
Oh, now my wife do. She does. She's into them.
Understood. Now, with what projects do you have coming up? Anything big, exciting?
Well, last year, about June, I got a contract with Evo Angel. I'm one of their directors over there now. So my main focus has been to doing shoots for that particular platform. So, and I typically do like maybe 2 or 3 a month for that. So, and my month is usually the same. I go and shoot for a couple of the mainstream companies down there. And while I'm down there, I'll shoot 2 or 3, for me and the stuff that I got going on, and that's pretty much it. So, as far as what's coming up, Summer Vixen will be up on Evil Angel, maybe in about another week and a half. Brittany, excuse me, pardon me, Sasha Sasha Baran, and I always say her name wrong. It's going to be up maybe 3 weeks after that. Yaya is going to be up after that. It's a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's, every year gets busier than the last. So March is
Well,
going to
that's
be
a good thing.
yeah, that's a great thing. Busy equal money to me. So
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well.
if I'm
Busy
not
equals
busy,
money.
there's something going totally wrong.
Now, I have a question. For someone with your longevity, you've worked with a lot of talent over the years. Is there anybody out there that you haven't worked with yet? And I'm particularly talking about on camera, on screen. Um, that's out there that you haven't worked with yet that you like to?
Well, some of the more like a performer like Rebel Rider. If it's a chick like that,
Hmm.
I my scenes are typically high energy scenes.
Right.
If you want to, so it's like if if she can match that, then I want to shoot with her. I don't care who she is, really. It's because it's all about performance when it's on screen. And if she can't perform, not just fuck, but actually be able to perform for the camera, as it were. It takes a certain thing. It takes a certain thing, and if they have that and can just let it go, I want to perform. I want to work with them because they're gonna produce a brilliant scene. It's gonna be great because they're gonna both be feeding off each other's energy, and it's gonna be a high energy scene, and that's what people want. People don't really want to see making love too much. They want to see that raw, crazy, primal type thing. And if she can deliver that, like it's like let's go. That's what people want to see, and that's what I want to make. I'm outside of that, I'm just a perv, and that's what I want to make. So, and if it's not that, I mean, it's just a waste of time for me. It just really is. Like, I have no time.
I understand. I think that something you said as far as just scene and the primalness and the energy, I think that that's when, as a connoisseur, someone watches it, I think that's what people really look for.
That's what
That
they.
connectedness. Like I don't think anybody want to watch a scene or watch a movie and somebody's phoning it in. Like you
Yeah,
want to see, like you want it to be real. You want it to be raw.
right,
You want to know that. I mean, especially with what's going on, you want you want to imagine in your head like they're really enjoying the hell out of
right.
what they're doing.
And that's what I want to. It's like chicks like that, like that, they really want to be there.
Hmm.
They let a fuck, and they want to be there, and that's the only ones I want. You can tell when it's fake, when you're watching it, because people are just going through the motions. Like, okay, let me do this position 5 minutes, and do that position 5 minutes, and do this 5 minutes, and then we're gonna come on your face. Uh,
Right.
and they're just going through the motions. No, This is gonna be real. We really fucking. We're not making love. We're not even having sex. We're fucking.
Right.
That's fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's like, let's do what we do. If it's not like,
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. I've always found it interesting when you do see it's like it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel authentic, and you're just thinking, what are they even doing?
yeah,
Why are
and
they even
people
doing what
know,
they're doing?
and people know that. That's why the whole Richard Mann name thing got big. Like, damn, it's real with him. Like, yeah, and they want to see that, and I know that. So I'm like, hey, I can't work with nothing else but because it's people are gonna fault me for it. And I worked with chicks and they were like, damn, why didn't you do this and do that? You supposed to do this with her and do that with her. I'm like, she wasn't built for it. You know, chicks with like big names and it's been like, that's not that's not what she's there for, because that's
I
not what she,
believe that.
you know, I'm not,
Yeah,
mm-mm. I don't want her to have nothing that she don't want to have. I'm there for her to be like, wow, that was great.
right.
You know, but yeah, that's what it is with me. I don't care that, and one of the things that, my publicists have been pushing, since I got the whole deal with Evil Angel, was like, hey, Richard Mann's guy, he bringing in new talent, this, that, and I'm like, yes, because there's a ton of talent out there. There's a ton of talent out there that deserve to be, on a bigger screen, if
Hmm.
so to speak. They deserve that. I want to give it to them. Like, come on, deserve it, because like I said, this is a hand to mouth type thing, and people are really out here, really trying to make a living out of that, out of this, and it's discouraging to be out here making good product, good films, giving great performances, and you're just not really just getting the recognition that that you deserve. So I'm like, okay, maybe that you just need to be pushed out there a little bit more, which is usually the
Right.
case. And once you do that, hopefully that'll bring some more money coming into them, because more people know about them, and come check out their work on their own platforms, on their own site, and put some more money in their pocket. And then other mainstream studios be like, hey, he does great work, she does great work, hey, come on over here and do some stuff for us. So I want to just put those type of people out there. I really do. Hey, people, if you're out there, contact me. But that's what it is to me.
I like that. Again, I said before, I love that community aspect. I love the just getting more and more individuals that want to be in the industry involved and giving them their shine. I I think it's weird. It's weird in a good way that the pandemic, and with so many more people discovering, hey, this is what they want to do or having the opportunity because of digital platforms, it's really speaking to what the consumer wants, and is giving a lot of people who never thought of that's something they wanted to do, an opportunity to do something that they eventually love and turn into a career. And it
Yeah,
is good that people in your position really are looking like, hey, this is something we can do and we can work together.
yeah, because most of us, we end up dropping out because the money is just not there. You
Right.
know, got bills to, just like everybody else, we got bills to pay, and mortgage, and car note, and kids, and child support, and just some of everything. And if they can't make those ends meet, by doing this, they gotta do something else, and that doing something else will take up a lot of their time. And next thing you know, they're really not in the game. So it's like, hey, if I can help with that, I'm gonna do it. And hey, come over here and shoot for me. Come over here and shoot for me. I put you on, and if that can do something for them, then that's great. This is a game that there's no royalties in.
Right.
You know, that's why people think we're rich. They think that we got Tom Cruise money, or you know Brad Pitt money, and money like that, and it's just not like that. It's just not. The people who have stuck with it, they just really love it that much. Like, okay, it's just a hard game to be in, but I love it. We love it though. We love it. We love it. I mean, we love it not just for the whole fame thing, but for the freedom that it gives us. We get to tend to our kids more. If there's an emergency at school, we can go there at the drop of a dime. We can take care of our parents better. It's just so much more we can do. Yeah, it's like it's hard to go back to a 9 to 5.
But I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I have to take care of my mother now. So it's like, oh my God, thank goodness I can be here for her.
Right. Right. That's from my own personal experience. That's a lot. So I can definitely empathize.
She's self sufficient, but I got to be there though.
Understood. Now, one last question for you before I let you go. Someone who's been in the game 20 years, not just someone, but a black male who's been in the game for 20 years. How have you seen the industry change in its attitudes toward black male talent specifically?
Since I've been in the game, it's always been the same. Now, yeah, I mean, I think black male talent has been treated well in this business. I have.
Okay.
I mean, there's always people in every profession, in every industry that will be the bad guys. There's always those who will be the good guys too. So it's like I just take it all with a grain of salt, and it's like, okay, whatever. But I've never had any problems with anyone in this business. And I know a lot of guys who've never had any problem with anyone else in this business. Now, as far as what goes on behind the scenes at any particular company or this, that, or other, I don't know. But I've never had a problem. I mean, black males are really needed in this game. So if you're a black male that can actually get in and do the job, there's work for you. You always will be. Always will be.
Understood. Understood. Well, Richard, thank you very much for your time. Let everybody know where they find you.
Well, they can always find me on evilangel.com. As I said before, I'm a director over there, but I do have platforms of my own, richardmansworld.com, richardmanevents.com, swingerchronicles.com, and pretty much on on any free website. You just type in my name, and I'll pop up. So wherever I pop up, that's a platform that I'm on. So yeah, but I just want to thank everybody for always supporting me and just keeping me alive. And it's the fans. I'm able to put food on my table, clothes on my back, and everything, and I've always appreciated that support. And I promise I'll be giving y'all continued good content.
Thank you, Richard. I greatly appreciate your time and the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check him out on all his websites. Webster Style, you know where to find us. Everything's been down below. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was my interview with Richard Mann. Again, I loved his mild manneredness. And one of the things that I really enjoyed in that conversation, especially while the world itself may see him and see what he does as peculiar, I'll put it that way, the utilization of what he's falling into, what he's created to benefit his family, to take care of his mom, those are things that really resonated with me and spoke to the sort of man that he is. And I really appreciate it. And I always enjoy the opportunity to speak with men who have that sort of mindset. But it always surprises me when talk to people and they're not into fragrances. Not saying you have to be, but fragrances are so ubiquitous that people wear them and don't really care in many respects. And then you have some, like in this case, who just don't really wear them at all. And then you have me. People like who are frag heads who always. I'm not one of those guys that buy everything or always looking for something new, but I enjoy a good fragrance and I enjoy switching it up a little bit. But even with that, there's some fragrances that I think that every man should have in his collection because of its utility, and in some cases, because it's a very good value for the money. And in this case, this week for the fragrance of the week, we're talking about UOMO from Ermenegildo Zegna. Now, this one is described as a fresh, citrusy fragrance. Fresh, citrusy, woody, spicy, synthetic. Yeah, synthetic, especially for the price. Notes of citrus fruits, violet flower, Calabrian bergamot, cedar, and vetiver. Now, the perfume on this one was Alberto Morales. This is a fragrance that, especially the violet leaf off the top, I really get, but it's one of those things where you grow up and you kind of have this idea in your head for what a cologne smells like. This is what a cologne smells like. This is a fragrance that is great for the office. Absolutely beautiful for the office. It's beautiful for a black tie. It's very clean. It's very fresh. It is also a fragrance that gives me great longevity. Now I'm not so sure about projection wise, but I get all day performance from this one, and it's super cheap. This 30 ml bottle, I think I paid $15 for this at a Burlington or something like that. You can get the really huge bottles for probably $25. This is one that I will keep in my collection because it is such an easy dumb reach. It is so easy to wear and it is so good. It is, for me, on my skin, it's so good with, and it's all the notes I really love. That violet leaf at the top is really beautiful. The cedar, the vetiver, it's such a clean, fresh fragrance. It's not heavy, but it produces a really heavy scent, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, it's not heavy as in, oh, it just chokes people out, but it's heavy in that it lingers. It's heavy in that you may not have great projection, but you will have a good scent bubble around you all day. So that's my fragrance of the week. UOMO. UOMO by Ermenegildo Zegna. Now, with the fragrances, let's talk about, other things like how you can support. I've been very fortunate to make great connections over the years, and with those connections have come affiliate links. And with all of these products, services, vendors, these are all services that I myself have purchased from in the past. So I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, you should try their products because, I said so and you get 10% off. No, I am recommending these because I actually enjoy their products. And first up, we have Basil and Sage. You can get a great subscription box from them. Use the code Tortorio and Geek 10 for 10% off. Did my run of subscription boxes last year. All black-owned businesses and got some really great products. And for $50 for a box, and you get that 10% off, so you do the math, you know how much it is, you get an excellent value there with that box. Even at the full price, I think that the box itself and its contents are well worth it with the quality and just the uniqueness of some of the items. There are things that I've received over the year that I never thought about, but it was good. Like the cranberry sauce they got during the holiday times, that was just really, really good. Homemade, the socks, just so many other things. There are items that I've received I still haven't used yet just because I haven't had a practical use for them. Like the drink mix, summertime, definitely using that. But yeah, so Basil and Sage, Sartorial and Geek 10, definitely check it out. Also, Go Tyler's $1 Million Collar. This is a beautiful business where you can get shirts, either they make or you get your shirts tailored, i.e. you can buy the device to get your shirt tailored so that your collars are always stiff and stuck where you don't even need a tie. Let's see, Go Tyler's, amongst their other products like their collar stays, like their cuff adapters, where you can basically, I can turn this shirt into a French cuff shirt with their cuff adapters, amongst their many other products. And again, I have purchased some of them as well. I love their products. I have a interview with one of the co-founders, Captain Ron, on the site as well. So check out that. Links in the show notes, by the way. But if you're interested in purchasing from Go Tyler's, that's $1 Million tie or $1 Million Collar, use the code WebsterStyle10, or excuse me, Webster Style, for 10% off your first purchase. And then we have the coffee company that gets me percolating every morning, and that's going to be Hill Coffee. Use the code Webster Style for 10% off your first purchase. And let me tell you, their dark roast is something that I drink every single morning. It is an absolutely beautiful and delicious dark roast, and they just make great coffee, and it's all sourced directly from farmers in South America, a local company here to where I am, veteran owned. So it's just one of those things that is really, really, really beautiful, and I love it. And then there's Pete and Pedro. They did away with the actual codes, but if you use the link in the show note or the code flashing here, you can get 10% off your first purchase. I have been a fan of Pete and Pedro for a while now. I don't use their hair products, but their fragrances are what I really gravitate to with Villain and Hero and Rebel. I absolutely love Villain, and it is, you get a good value for their 50 ml bottles, or just around $50. So you get a really good value for your money, and you can get 10% off too using the link in the show notes. So those me hawking those affiliate links for you. I hope that you find some really good products and really great things to use that benefit your life, and get a little bit of money off as well by using those. But you know me, Webster Style, you can find me all over the place. You can find me really sometimes a couple times a week over on Nerds Rule the World. First on the Kayfabe Baby, the NRW Regionals podcast, where we talk about wrestling. Myself, Legend Kuya, and the voiceover king Sean Mongo talking about wrestling. Then of course my man Brian Saff and I talking about gaming all day, every day over at the NRW Checkpoint. Of course, I sprinkle myself over there too. Trailer reactions. Me and Kuya P, I'm sometimes on the NRW show. You know, you'll see me over there as well. And of course, you'll see me all the time over here, Webster Style. Follow me on Instagram at Webster Style. Follow me on Twitter at Webster Style. Follow me on TikTok at _Webster. And of course, anything and everything that is Webster Style can be found at websterstyle.com. And of course, drop me an email, info@websterstylemagazine.com. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your listening ear. Remember, stay safe out there and be blessed.
Swag out them boss. Look, is that bow tie paisley? Ah, you're a killer. Ooh, I mean, this is me right here, baby. You see this? Nah, this is. Hold on. I mean, I can change. I thought, never mind, forget it.
I'm a Jenny, and finicky when it comes to the killing spree, aka that's an